So they want to make a deal, but I'm not satisfied with it. So we'll see what happens. Iran wants to make a deal because they have no military left, essentially, and they want to make a deal, but I'm not satisfied.
An energy crisis that could shake the entire world, now one step closer. A critical global oil route under pressure. A fragile ceasefire barely holding. And the President of the United States responding to a proposed deal with just 2 words. Not satisfied. I'm James Merello. This is NPM News. Tonight, we're looking at a growing standoff between the United States and Iran, and why it could impact everything from fuel prices to global stability. Let's start with what's at stake. At the center of this crisis is the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow stretch of water, just 21 miles wide at its tightest point. It may look small on a map, but its importance is massive. Nearly 1/5 of the world's oil and natural gas passes through this single route every day. That means if this waterway is disrupted, the effects won't stay in the Middle East. They will be felt across the globe. And right now, that flow is under serious threat. Here's what happened. Iran recently submitted a new proposal aimed at easing tensions and potentially ending the conflict with the United States. It was delivered through mediators, offering what many believed could be a path forward. But within hours, President Donald Trump rejected it. Speaking at the White House, he said, "They want to make a deal. I'm not satisfied with it." No details, no clear demands, just a rejection. And that uncertainty is what's raising concern tonight. Because when the terms are unclear, the path forward becomes unpredictable. Now, to understand how serious the situation is, you have to look at the current reality on the ground. There's a ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran, but it is fragile. It has held for about 3 weeks, but both sides have accused each other of violations. So while the fighting has slowed, the tension has not. And the real pressure point right now is not just on land, it's at sea. The United States Navy has taken a strong position. American warships are currently blocking Iranian oil tankers from leaving port. That means Iran's oil exports are effectively frozen. And for a country that relies heavily on oil revenue, the economic impact is severe. But here's where the situation becomes even more dangerous. Iran still controls access to the Strait of Hormuz, and that gives them leverage, because every major oil shipment from countries like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Kuwait must pass through that narrow corridor. If Iran decides to restrict or disrupt that flow, the consequences could be immediate. Oil prices could spike, supply chains could tighten, markets could react within days. And that's why the entire world is watching this so closely. So what's being done to prevent escalation? According to President Trump, communication between the U.S. and Iran is still ongoing, but not face-to-face. Planned talks in Pakistan were canceled, which many see as a setback. However, discussions are continuing behind the scenes, mainly through phone calls and intermediaries. The U.S. has also proposed a plan to reopen the Strait of Hormuz for key allies, though details remain undisclosed. But there's another complication. The president described Iran's leadership as divided, fractured, and that raises a serious question. Even if a deal is reached, can it actually be enforced? Because a deal only works if both sides can control what happens next. When asked about the possibility of military action, the president said the United States has options, but prefers a deal. Now, that may sound reassuring, but in this context, the word options carries weight, because the U.S. military presence in the region is already significant. Warships, aircraft carriers, strike forces, the infrastructure for escalation is already in place. And any miscalculation, any confrontation at sea, could change everything overnight. So what happens next? There are 3 key things to watch. First, whether Iran returns with a revised proposal or walks away from negotiations entirely. Second, whether the current blockade holds or leads to a direct confrontation on the water. And third, the global markets. Because when trading opens, oil prices will reflect exactly how serious the situation is. And sometimes, the markets react faster than governments. Here's the bottom line. This is no longer just a regional issue. This is a global pressure point. Energy, economics, and security are all tied to what happens next in the Strait of Hormuz. And right now, the situation remains uncertain. I'm James Merello. Stay informed, stay alert, and stay with NPM News. Good night.